Okay, and to finish up the web of gender, looking at this, so Harry inhabits feminine spaces. Now get ready for this because I want to change the way that you're thinking about the spaces that Harry is occupying throughout the course of the story. So first, he lives in the cupboard under the stairs. So this is like anything that's cave-like. It's a feminine space. The cave resembles the womb, okay? So a place where you can be safe, be nurtured, be protected, and be hidden, right? And then once you eject yourself from the cave, right, for the feminine space, then you are exposed to the world. This is where action occurs. This is where danger occurs, so on and so forth. So living in the cupboard under the stairs signifies this cave-like hidden space, which is exactly why Professor Dumbledore said that he placed Harry at the Dursleys' house, right? He put him somewhere where he would essentially be invisible during the most vulnerable time of his life when he's a child, right? And defenseless because he doesn't know magic. That's the first one. Second one, he lives in Gryffindor Tower. So what we see in the reading is when they approach their living quarters at Hogwarts. And so he resides in Gryffindor Tower. Now, this is actually masculine because of the phallic symbol of a tower, right? Ejecting out and up into space. But it's feminine because it's in a position of protection and defensiveness. Because in a tower, you can see, remember we talked about picture book dynamics and how in the visuals, if you see a character high up, that's generally a safer space and a safer place. You're also approaching heaven, so it's thought to be a place of higher consciousness as well, and higher spirituality as well. But what makes it feminine is because you're in a tower, now you can see what's approaching, right? So it gives you the visual advantage. Because of that, it makes the tower both masculine and feminine. For the third one, he really moves from one hidden place to another if you think about it. So he goes from the hidden place, the cupboard under the stairs at the Dursleys' house. He does that, and then he goes all the way to Hogwarts, which is yet another hidden secret place. So Hogwarts is like a safe haven for him, much like the Dursleys' house. He is still hidden there, right, to much of the magical world because they don't know that he's there. The only people that know he's there are the students and the teachers. In the tower, he's both protected and exposed simultaneously. Okay, so that's notable. And remember, this also marks a feminine space because Minerva McGonagall leads the Gryffindor house. Okay, and so she is a strong feminine character here that is like a mentor to Harry and a guiding light to Harry as well. Also remember that Gryffindor Tower is feminized by the fat lady that guards the round opening of the dormitories, right? So she creates a more feminine space at Hogwarts because of that. They have to pass by her. Remember, the fat lady is the painting. And of course, he lives under the unseen protection of his mother. She's always there. So both of his parents are strong characters in this book. They're always there no matter what. And then even the invisible cloak that he gets, spoiler alert, if you haven't read it yet, he gets an invisible cloak, which is totally fun. And he gets that from Dumbledore. He delivers that package for him and says it's from someone mysterious. I won't tell you who. It's feminine as it covers him. So it covers him and hides him, makes him invisible to others, like a silken cave. Okay, so we really see him going from one hidden place to another all throughout the story. And then lastly, his two friends, Ron and Hermione, they kind of exemplify the sexes, okay, and how they're going to operate together in this first book in the series. So Ron is this masculine, like a boy, you know, boys will be boys type of figure. He's got a ton of brothers, and they're teasing him all the time. And um, Ron almost always points Harry in the wrong direction because he's operating out of something very different than what Hermione is. So Hermione is using logic and she's using reason and she's like representing this, she's this figure of wisdom for Harry. And yet Ron is kind of just this like careless, reckless boy who's good at heart. You know, he's a good character, he's a good guy, but he lacks the wisdom with which to move in the world responsibly and safely. So Ron continually perpetuates action and danger in the journey, and Ron helps the story to keep going. If it were up to Hermione just by herself, there would be no story because she's too careful. Ron is too reckless. So, you know, if it was just Ron and Harry, I mean, they probably end up getting killed. So they need Hermione to kind of balance this out. So they get into trouble. You know, Ron is like the perpetuator of getting into trouble, and Hermione is the one who helps them out of it. Um, and so Hermione represents the feminine figure of wisdom in the story. This suggests that the action that they partake in, whether it's careless or reckless or not, will actually lead to Harry's personal growth and success. And it does because of Hermione. I want to pick up from the next handout, which we're talking about things that are underneath the surface of these first several chapters, the first 12 chapters in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So if we look at this handout, the four houses, sorting it all out. See what I did there? Because of chapter 7, the sorting hat. Get it? I knew you'd appreciate that. So we're introduced to the four houses. Now, this is a big deal. Okay, I'm kind of cheating because I was only supposed to talk about things going on under the surface, but I'm going to actually refer to the chapters for this one because there's something very relevant that happened. So remember that the order in which the houses are mentioned are even significant here. We've got Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Okay, now I really want to just focus on Gryffindor and Slytherin, so I'm going to really just focus on those two. But even within the poem that they recite, they are actually higher and lower on a column of lines. And so again, you'll see this in my book. It's on page 117 and 118 in chapter 7. And so the poem wants the sorting hat, because the hat sings this little poem, right? This little song. And he characterizes what the houses represent. Okay, so remember the houses are Gryffindor, that's mentioned first. Slytherin is last, and what we have in the middle is Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. So listen to this. You might belong in Gryffindor, where dwell the brave at heart. Their daring, nerve, and chivalry set Gryffindors apart. So he's telling you here, the Sorting Hat is saying, here's what Gryffindors are notable for. This is what they're known for. You might belong in Hufflepuff, where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. So Hufflepuff, I mean, generally Hufflepuff, I don't know if you recall this, but in the reading, Malfoy makes a crack at Hufflepuff, at that house. And he says, oh man, I would just, geez, like I'd rather just die, right, than be in Hufflepuff. And Hufflepuffs are known for being very sincere, fair, loyal people who are true to heart through and through. So they're good people, and they're unafraid to toil. So the idea is that they're not afraid of hard work. In fact, they must work hard in order to get what everybody else has, right? So wits are not necessarily their strongest suit. It's not that they're dumb, but they will work hard to make up for what they are lacking in the wits department. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. That's what that's implying there. Because you don't want to insult the Sorting Hat's not going to insult the Hufflepuff house. Or yet in wise old Ravenclaw, if you've got a ready mind, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. So Ravenclaw are very, very smart. Or perhaps in Slytherin, you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. So that tells you right there who Slytherin is. So look, we go from Gryffindor down to Slytherin. I think that this signifies the higher and lower consciousness. Gryffindor has it all. They're smart. They're brave. They're good-natured people. Hufflepuff, they're good-natured. They're just. They like justice and fairness, and they will work hard to make up for whatever it is that they lack. Ravenclaw may not have the same type of bravery that Gryffindors have. They may not be that brave, but they are very, very smart. And then in Slytherin, they're smart, but they're cunning, right? They're selfish. This is what this means. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. They're selfish. They're driven with selfish purpose. And so this is very different from all of the other houses, right? Signifying higher and lower consciousness. Now, when we see the 4 houses, we see where Harry grew up reinforced, right? We see that his relatives, the Dursleys, would be what? They'd be Slytherin, right? They would be Slytherin. And he grew up there. And when he puts on that hat, he does not want to be Slytherin. And the hat has to decide what he really is, like what he's more of than something else. Now, Draco Malfoy, I just wanted to put this little note about character in here because Malfoy, his last name, in French actually means bad faith. And remember that Malfoy, he rejects the basic philosophy of inclusion, which means that he's really rejecting Hogwarts in of itself. And Salazar Slytherin, who was the founder, actually was the same way. Now, when we see these 4 houses, we see that Harry actually has the qualities of all 4, right? He represents balance. He represents unity. He represents harmony. All of the things that he will bring. Remember, 4 represents balance, unity, harmony. He will bring all of that to Hogwarts and to Gryffindor as well. Now, a little note about Severus Snape, the head of Slytherin House. So because we know about Slytherin House now, Severus Snape, even just the sound of the name, and we'll do etymology of all the names in Harry Potter in this first installment next time, and I think you're really going to enjoy it because it sheds a lot of truth and light on what J.K. Rowling was doing when she created these characters. Just genius. So Severus Snape, the name Severus sounds like what he is and how he is. Severe, sniping, snake-like, right? Sounds snippy. This is the embodiment of this house, the house that Harry so desperately does not want to be a part of, okay? I think the 2 differentiating qualities between between Gryffindor and Slytherin, is courage versus selfishness. And so I wanted to delve a little bit more into what those 2 things connote. Selfishness, as in ambition and self-love, it's kind of like a Judas type. Is selfishness, this is the question I'm posing to you, and I want you to think about this. Is selfishness some sort of cowardice? Because if you cannot be both, that's the idea here, is you cannot be Gryffindor and Slytherin. You're going to be more one than the other. Harry ends up being more Gryffindor than Slytherin, right? Even though he has the smarts and the drive for Slytherin because he wants to prove himself. But the Hat decides he's more Gryffindor for a few reasons. And in a moment, you'll see why.